Is at a job site.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Southern Shores Town Council Workshop Meeting on June 20, 2023. We welcome everyone who's here. Look forward to hearing from everyone. If you'll please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll have a moment of silence now. Thank you. Council, we have an agenda in front of us. Are there any amendments to, or can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move we approve it as presented.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I don't see anybody wanting to general public comment, but if somebody wants to general public comment, please come up to the podium.
No takers.
No takers. We'll ask again later. We'll just jump into our business items. We're going to have a presentation from a guest, and I'll allow our town manager, Cliff Ogburn, or ask him to present our presenters.
Thank you very much. The presenters are from Open Fiber. Mark Wodasek, I'll ask him to come up in a minute and introduce himself. Open Fiber is a fiber network. They're here in Dare County. They've got a presence. They've, I believe, started already in some towns. I think Kitty Hawk Estates was scheduled to be done here. I rode through there and I saw all the blue lines, so the water's been marked. But they came to us probably a month, maybe 6 weeks ago, and they've been very patient with me as I've tried to navigate what this means, what it means to the town, how it's going to impact the town. So I'm thankful that they're here as a way of introduction to you all about what they plan to do and answer any questions that you might have. So, Mark, come on up.
Welcome. Glad y'all are here.
Yes.
This, hopefully, is that on here? This will navigate your slides, okay?
All right, perfect. Well, anyways, we appreciate the opportunity to be up in front of everybody. And, just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Mark Wodasek. I head up operations for Open Fiber. We're super excited about the project here in Outer Banks. And then also I did want to introduce you to Angie Gleason. So Angie Gleason is the market executive for the Outer Banks area in the territory. She'll be heading up the operations here in this area locally, as well as from an employment standpoint, construction standpoint as well. So I just wanted to just preface this that I don't want to assume that everybody or that anybody knows anything about us. So we'll just take the opportunity to kind of run through some slides, if you will. If you have questions, I'm happy. I'd rather an open dialogue. So please, just feel free to ask questions as we go along. And I've got about 600 slides here. It won't take too long. So anyways, just who we are, right? So everybody probably knows the large internet players and so forth. We work a lot of local towns and municipalities, and ideally what we want to do, we just want to provide the best internet infrastructure possible. We do the construction. We're also that internet service provider on the back end. So at the end of the day, we just want to drive the infrastructure to really make sure the residents of these towns have options and the access to the next level, next kind of generational technologies. And what I mean by that, it can span from any type of telehealth to any type of remote career work or any type of continuing education work. So I'm not sure if everybody's familiar, but there's a lot of different opportunities with fiber internet. So fiber internet provides the highest, most reliable internet available. So it's got the upload speeds and download speeds to help assist with any type of Teams calls, Zoom calls. And additionally, it's more secure and just a lot more reliable. Additionally, with Open Fiber, I mean, we've serviced both nationally and internationally over 1 million. We currently service over 1 million homes, both nationally and internationally. Our management team is comprised of over 50 years of experience designing this network architecture, building the network architecture, and also implementing on it as well. And so we're here to change really that paradigm of a lot of people, may be sick and tired of these different fees and so forth. So we just want to be simple, right? And so part of our mantra and go-to-market strategy is just being very transparent, very simple. So we provide 2 separate services. Those separate services are the $55 plan and $85 plan. And with that, what's nice is we don't tie our customers into any type of contracts. We believe in our product. We know it's far superior than what is out there and available today. Additionally, that $55 plan or the $85 plan, that is what our customers pay. That's all taxes, everything included in that. And all of our equipment and everything is included in that one deal. So it just creates that level of transparency that really the telecom industry has been missing for decades. That kind of just goes into a little bit of, why choose us and so forth. And then also, why is it you need fiber internet? As the pandemic, came upon us a few years back, everybody really found the necessity of a true, reliable internet connection. And fiber provides that. And fiber provides essentially ether. And what ether means is just an infamous amount of speed, upload and download, to really provide that customer experience, so that you can, stream that call that you may need, that video conference, or so you can assist from a telehealth perspective, or your children or grandchildren to stream those video games and so forth. And so, anyways, I don't want to bore you, but this is kind of part of our process, and I just wanted to line that out on how we kind of go to market, and once we speak with the different towns and so forth. So we identify those kind of easement rights and so forth and right of ways. From there, we obtain those permits or those encroachment permits, as we've been talking with Cliff and Wes about, and next steps with Southern Shores and the opportunity. Additionally, we work hand in hand with the local towns and so forth, from notifying these residents and all types of community members, as we partner with them from a social media perspective, just so that they're in the know. And it's really helped us really communicate this, as far as both of us kind of working on this effort together. Because at the end of the day, this is a big investment, great investment, for a lot of towns that we're going into that have, just maybe one different cable provider or internet provider. It drives competition, which essentially drives the price lower for your residents as well. And then also just, the different technology and better technology. From that notification standpoint, as Cliff had mentioned, we had started in Kitty Hawk. And with that, we do work with 811 hand in hand, which is a utility locate company that will come out and locate those different utilities for us and for the other towns and so forth. Additionally, from there is when we actually start breaking ground. And Angie, would you mind just grabbing that conduit? I just wanted to show you what our conduit looks like if you're not familiar, and kind of the microduct technology that we utilize. And then so from there, then we really link the fiber to our distribution hubs. And I've got a couple slides down here where when we've been working with Cliff about the different variances and so forth that we're looking at, or ordinances that the town currently has, and what we essentially would like to propose, and kind of next steps. We can kind of talk into that here in a little bit. Then additionally, working with the local towns, we want to make sure, as everybody is, cognizant of, any type of disturbed areas, right? I mean, we want to make sure that we come back and repair and restore those areas back to as good or better than when we started or began. Additionally, kind of going back into ensuring that we're just that we've got a good approach to make sure the residences are made aware of kind of what's going on, and keeping them updated throughout that construction process, and process when we can kind of activate that network and turn them on to our fiber internet. And this just kind of goes down to the different areas where we like to work with the different towns, coordinate kind of notification plan if you have some type of social media individual or some type of manager that oversees the communications to your residents here in Southern Shores. Additionally, the regional office that we had spoken about is Angie will be heading that up for us, and we just established offices in Duck, just north of here. And then additionally, it's we're here to employ locally. So we always want to work with the towns, and as we need technicians, as we need project managers, as we need all these gaps that we need to fulfill within our business, we want to make sure that we're partnering with the towns. And if there's certain job boards or so forth, we'd like to kind of work in partnership with you to cast out those career opportunities as well. So kind of going through, and I know it was pretty quick. I just want to leave a lot of time for some questions and answers. But as we initially spoke to Cliff, I'm not sure how much information he's revealed as far as what the town ordinances are and what we were initially kind of looking to do. However, our path forward that we had initially, or that we have kind of come to agreement on, is establishing some type of encroachment agreement with the town for that right-of-way access for our conduit and for our infrastructure to be placed. And so with that, I believe we were going to kind of talk about the different items. If you don't mind.
I'll just. They're considered a public utility, so they have the right to our right of way. And they're not. It's not exclusive. So, as he said, others can come in and their competition and choices. It's just not like anything else in the general statute. It's not clear who they are and how we regulate them. We're not permitted to have a franchise agreement, which is something we had originally thought we would do. He mentioned the variances, and the one issue we've got to work through would be the pedestals. As you know, we have the underground requirements for our utilities like this, and the pedestals aren't allowed, but they would need a lot of those. So we're either going to have to figure out how to incorporate that somehow, either through the variance process or through amending the ordinances. And so all that will be coming forward. The encroachment agreement should be pretty simple. We already have encroachment agreements for other type utilities, for construction, for things that are left in the right of way. But I think that hopefully that explains where we are in this.
Does Spectrum have pedestals? So does Brightspeed. I mean, how do they have pedestals? And you're saying you're not sure they can have a pedestal?
Yeah, our and West may have to back
They're a
up.
public utility.
Right. So I think
They were grandfathered.
They were grandfathered.
Oh, God, I love grandfather. Okay.
one of the, when we were dealing with the small cell wireless poles
Yeah.
that were popping up, that's one of the things we kind of addressed was the pedestals, or made sure that was in place when we were going through that process.
Yeah, and the difference with our pedestals as well is that their service up to 96 homes. So it's not a pedestal in between every other home. So the pedestals are a little bit different. I believe on the initial network design, I think it was just at 30 different pedestals. And I added a picture of what the pedestals are, essentially dimensions and so forth, so you can see it. Here's one that's out in the field currently. So there will be about 30 of those, or 32 of those. They will service up to 96 homes each. But the rest of our infrastructure will be all subterranean. And part of the reasoning why these pedestals need to exist is just based on the water tables and talking about salt water and everything like that. We can't have it affect, our network components, as, it could create some type of challenges from a network standpoint.
So where are you guys headquartered?
So in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Is it Charlotte or Matthews?
So it's in Charlotte, but we have an office in Matthews as well.
Because you're in it here. Your website says Matthews.
Yeah, so we recently took up new offices in Charlotte.
Okay.
So
Kinda like
what's the
Delaware.
depth that you would be slitting whatever you got in your hand
Yeah, so this piece of conduit
into
will
the
be-
ground? At
will
what
be
depth would you be?
24 to 18 inches.
24 to 18 to 24?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that, will
And-
you be putting in trenchless or will you be open to trench?
So there's a couple different ways that we go about installing the fiber. We have directional bores, directional drills, and then additionally we have some pneumatic misling that we use as well. And then we don't really use trenching, but it just depends. We're not sure what the soil is right here exactly in Southern Shores and so forth. But primarily we use directional drilling and our pneumatic misling concepts.
Are you guys providing, this is probably more marketing than that. So how many hubs, where's the nearest hub? Where's the hub going to be? Because Spectrum, Verizon, Brightspeed all have hubs all over the place, and service goes down there, automatically switching all the time. You can go out there and find out what hub you're on today. So are you guys buying time off the three big guys, or are you guys your own network?
We're our own network.
Your own
We don't-
network. So
we
you're
don't
not buying any
piggyback on-
time like a lot of these
We don't
companies do.
piggyback on Brightspeed or Spectrum or anything like that. Additionally, we've got
Or
redundancy-
Verizon.
Or Verizon, we've got redundancy built into our network. So if, something's cut off here, just north of Duck, then it's refed back through, our other routes, so. Yeah, and so we provide our own network and we're our own internet service provider.
Have,
Your own satellites then?
I'm sorry,
You have your own satellites?
our own satellites?
Yeah,
We don't have our own satellites.
you don't have your satellites, okay, all right.
have you gauged interest or done any surveying in Southern Shores to see if our residents are interested in this service?
That's a great question. So in Outer Banks, we did do a kind of larger formatted survey, and there was there's a need for fiber internet out here. But there's a lot of inquiries that had come in where folks throughout this pandemic had kind of moved here, came to their second homes, and just had this requirement for faster, better internet.
Working from home.
Forever.
So we have some heavy users in town. Some of them have come to our meetings. And so I think the reliability issue is something that people talk about locally all the time, not all the time, from time to time.
Right.
And so you start off saying more reliable. So what does that mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the copper and cable networks, they primarily are, I guess the best way to put it is they're a little outdated. I mean, cable technology's been around for decades, right? And with that, a lot of the infrastructure is now fatigued. And so you find a lot of challenges with that addition of the speeds. So they can only provide certain level of speeds across the copper kind of networks and so forth. So as technologies have really come about and internet and speeds have really become a commodity now, we're needing now more upload speed than we've ever needed before to upload that video content and so forth. So the copper networks they don't have the capacity to do that. And so what happens is then you actually have that latency in there and that buffering and so forth. With fiber, you have that egress and ingress where you have that same upload and download speed, so you don't have that buffering and so forth. It's just much better technology, newer age technology from that perspective. And it's next level. I mean, what's great about it is the infrastructure that you put in there. You're able to have, as we're going to market with gigabit speeds or 1,000 meg up and 1,000 meg down, as the consumers have more connected devices, I mean, folks have the watches and, that connect to their Wi-Fi. They have their Bluetooth speakers, their garage doors. And, I believe now in a home of 4, you have at least 20 or 25 connected devices. But as consumers and as manufacturers come out with more devices, I mean, microwaves and ovens and washers and dryers now connect to your Wi-Fi. So as that consumer demand increases, we'll need more of that bandwidth. And so this will provide the future of the internet. So if customers will need here probably in the next year or two that they'll need 2 gig, they'll need 5 gig. What's nice about this network is not a rip and replace. We just switch out the equipment on the back end, and then they're able to have even more kind of higher level speed services to accommodate that demand.
On the reliability side, is one side. The other is customer support, because you look at the profile of the people there in Southern Shores, we're all not 25. And how easy is it to get that support? Because the one I've got now, the customer support is not desirable.
Right. Yeah.
You end up offshore, and then you can't understand who you're talking to.
Yeah, and that's why we establish local offices in the areas that we go. So we'll have customer support representatives locally, actually just here in Duck for you.
My wife goes nuts with it.
I know we're asking a lot of questions, and I know we've got some more business to do today. I
think there's one more.
Yeah, I have one more too. So
What's the next steps?
let's do one more question each council member, and then we're going to try to move on. Paula, you go ahead.
Well, I just would caution you that the issue of these pedestals is going to be a community issue, because the reason we have an ordinance is because, I forget who it was, but this built some very unattractive structures in our neighborhood next to people's homes, in their direct sight lines to the street. And so we had a lot of pushback from that. So I just want to, these don't seem unattractive and they don't seem all that high, but I just prepare you that will be an issue.
Yeah, and we work with plenty of other towns and municipalities where if that is an issue, we're happy to plant some plants around that and make sure that it is more pleasing than not as well. So we're happy to work with you on that.
Good.
Mark?
Yeah, I have a problem with the size of the pedestal. I've seen those around. I thought it was a fire hydrant. I wasn't sure what was in that box, or some kind of electrical box, but you're right about being in the ground too, because we just had to replace the push button at Chickahawk, and because it corroded. I mean, everything corrodes here. So I would worry about that. Do you guys have voice as well? Voice over IP?
We do. We offer that as well.
Okay. That's all I have. Everything else is marketing.
Leo?
Where would you start here in Southern Shores to put the cable in?
Yeah, so
Somewhere
there's
you've thought
there's
about
about 2,900, just over 2,900 residences that we would be providing this service to. So once we get into the detail, we work with other towns and kind of let them know. We call it street sheets, like a weekly street sheet on where we'll start construction and commence construction, and when we plan to be done with construction. So our project manager will really head that up with Angie. But at this point in time, we don't have that schedule set, just because we're still in the process of working through that encroachment agreement and a path forward.
Okay.
I'll just, for a consumer, how much infrastructure goes on the consumer end, like in someone's home or attached to the home or whatever? What does that look like?
Thanks for asking that question. So essentially, this is the main line infrastructure that's outside the home, buried, and then one of these pieces of microduct, 7 millimeter, actually goes and is stitched up to the home, and this is what this looks like. This is actually stitched up to the home. And then on the side of the home, this is our network interface device that is then attached to the home. From here, we'll then bring our fiber into the home and then provide one of our modems. And that modem is an optical network terminal. So that's what terminates it from a fiber to kind of an Ethernet handoff, if you will.
Gotcha. Okay.
And additionally, I think there are some questions on a lot of homes, are kind of pre-wired that coax network or whatnot. So our Wi-Fi equipment, or our equipment that we do provide, is the latest and greatest, and provides a great kind of mesh network system. However, there's other kind of items or piece of hardware that folks can buy to utilize that cable kind of infrastructure. Motorola provides a certain little piece of equipment that essentially transforms it from coax to Ethernet, so you can push it across through your home as well.
Very
But I
good.
mean, it's the majority of homes now. I mean, everything's reliant upon Wi-Fi. I mean, not many people are plugging in, their network devices to the modems or routers or whatnot. So, and I mean, when that does come up, our technicians, which are employees of ours, not contractors, they're happy to help and kind of create that white glove service. And really, I mean, we're here to create that next level customer experience, because we know that's been missing for quite some time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Really
Thanks so much.
appreciate
And if there's questions, any additional questions, feel free to send it to Cliff and pass it along to us. We're happy to send along that information. I think we provided answers to some previous questions as well. So, looking forward to the next steps and the opportunity.
Thank you
Thanks.
Thank you.
very much.
I appreciate it.
Right.
You can't stop the public to
Mark, don't forget to talk into your microphone.
We'll talk later.
Cliff, are we going to move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry. Just want to make sure everybody's okay. Sheila's ready. Excuse me, not used to kicking off with a presentation, so that was very educational.
Informal,
Um,
informative.
Yes. Let's see. Sheila wants us to approve the minutes from May 2nd. Anybody have any amendments they've already submitted to, if they have? And so can I entertain a motion to approve the minutes from May 2nd?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Okay, thank you. Now, moving on, the next item is a budget amendment. Cliff, did you want to talk about the beach monitoring service?
This is a follow-up to your last meeting, when you approved the contract for the maintenance and monitoring of the beach. I should have had this budget amendment attached at that time. The CPE has started work in this, they will have started work in this fiscal year, so we needed to go ahead and get those monies, get the budget amended so we can go ahead and get them under contract. So this is, like I said, something I should have had at the last meeting for you to approve.
Is this the new budget or the old budget?
This is the old
Old
budget.
budget, okay.
Current
Thank you.
year.
Okay, current year, all right.
So will they complete all their work before the end of June?
No,
No. Okay, so this will wrap over into next year. Okay.
Okay.
So council, anybody have questions for Cliff concerning our beach monitoring service?
No, I move,
Motion to approve the
I move,
budget amendment.
I move that we approve budget amendment number 37 for the
Second.
2023 annual beach monitoring service.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Another budget amendment concerning body worn cameras for all police vehicles. Did you want to talk to us, Cliff, or does
Just-
Chief Cole want to talk to
If
us?
Chief, I think any questions you have, he can answer, but I just wanted to say that, you remember the American Reinvestment Funds that we got? We were thinking of ways that, that's a one-time opportunity that we'll probably never see again, at least not for a long time. And so we looked at opportunities for use of those funds. The chief in his CIP for not this next fiscal year, the one you just adopted, but the one after that, to replace the body worn cameras and the cameras in the vehicles. And we thought that was a good use of these funds now at this time. It's going to save us money. He's got some end-of-life issues with some of this equipment, difficulty getting any of it, maybe none of it, serviced. So we just felt like this is some opportunity for us to go ahead and take advantage of, and the chief wants to add anything to it, ask them to come up.
Thanks, Cliff. Good morning, Chief.
Morning, Chief.
Good morning. Proud. I came to see the speed bump show, I guess. Just in a nutshell, and I think I've shared most of this with y'all. The current system is a great system. The problem is that the company Applied Concept that we bought it from decided not to stay in the camera business. So they no longer support anything. There's no more equipment available. We jumped on the bandwagon real quick after they had given us the notice of termination. So we moved all of our information and data to our own server because we were on theirs. The in-car cameras are 10 years old that we currently have. Then we were able to secure a grant for the body worn cameras, and that was approximately 3, maybe 4 years ago. So the body cameras are almost 4 years old. On an average, the good brand body cameras are about 5 years. And part of the problem is that they make them with the battery built into them, so you can't just change out the batteries. So the average is about 5 years before you replace them. Now, in this proposal for this budget amendment through Motorola, that's built into the quote that at the 5-year mark, they will replace them with their newest robust body-worn cameras at no cost, because the cost is already built into the quote. Kill Devil Hills Police Department and the town of Nags Head Police Department are already up and running with this Motorola system. And they've had nothing but good things to say about it. And I would entertain any questions if you have it. Our biggest concern is that if one of the body-worn cameras kaputs or one of the in-car cameras, then either that officer and or that police vehicle will no longer have a camera. Because we just don't have any means to fix it or to replace it.
That's with the current supplier,
That's the current system that we have, yes.
but you went to Motorola, you'd be able.
Motorola, yes, we'd be all set. And a matter of fact, and then in the next fiscal year, I've got budgeted in the equipment. Probably we would purchase one extra of each, just so that we've always got a backup to
Something to
plug
change.
in. Yeah.
And Motorola provides local service? Is that
Yes,
correct?
matter of fact, one gentleman lives in Southern Shores.
Yeah, the guy that actually is, that heads up the nationwide installs, he actually lives in their county. So he's been going around the whole country installing it. They bought a system that was already, up to date. Motorola bought the system and they have incorporated it into their program. So he's been the one that's been installing it all over the country. So we're kind of lucky he actually lives here. So he does a lot of our installs in our vehicles and things like that. So we've dealt with it before, it's really responsible.
Very good.
Well, and unfortunately, this is just a necessity for any police department these days. And I think to be without a camera in a car or have an officer out without a camera is,
Because you know what's going to happen.
no.
It's going to be that officer, that incident, that time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other questions, council, for Chief? Thank you, Chief Cole. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
I had emailed him some questions and he gave wonderful answers. So I feel like I'm very comfortable with what this budget amendment proposes to do. Any further discussion, council? Do we have a motion to approve another budget amendment?
I'd move to approve budget amendment 38.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Our next item is another budget amendment, Town Hall Complex Improvements.
I'll
Hey,
ask the
Cliff.
Public Works Director, David Bradley, to come up to present this one to you. But first, I just wanted to say how appreciative and thankful I am to be a manager of a town where I'm not afraid of body-worn cameras. And I see those as being good things for the town. I'm sure there's town managers that worry about those. I'm just thankful our police department isn't one of those. So
It protects the town.
Yeah,
I mean, it's mandatory. It protects the town.
for sure. Thanks, Cliff. Morning, David.
So I have a budget amendment here for you. for some needed upgrades and repairs here at the town hall complex. We've got the west entrance to the town hall building. That ramp and the steps and the porch, we need to make some major repairs to that, get that replaced. If you look right here and you notice these two doors, or what used to be doors, looking at getting that actually covered up and making some work on this, making some repairs to the siding outside of this. And if you see where these two windows are, I believe that used to be a door. But we can make that look a lot better on the outside, and also there's a lot of trim and some siding work that needs to be replaced on this building, as well as getting it painted. And this also covers that. And looking at adding an emergency exit right here on the other side, directly on the other side of this wall, there's a garage door that's not actually a garage door, so we're going to get that covered up as well. And also moving over to the police department, there are two entrances in their main building. Both of those doors need to be replaced, and I've been working on it a while trying to get that done. But we can make those a little more secure, and as well as adding a window to an office in there. And I believe that rounds out all the work on that.
So what will happen to those double doors?
Those will stay there, and there's two garage doors on
Okay.
on this side of the building. One actually is a garage, leads to the garage. The one that's right here will go away, and that'll be covered up with siding. And the contractor says that he could match it and make it look really nice.
Okay.
Does anything in here include improvements to the entrance to the other building, the town hall itself?
Not to the main entrance, but to the west entrance right here with the handicap ramp. So that it will upgrade that and make that ADA compliant.
I'm going to take this opportunity to ask, how are things going at the Public Works building? Did the job get completed?
Very nice. We're very appreciative of all of that. Thank you all very much. Makes these recent hot days we've had much more bearable.
Mhm.
So we're all very
It's gonna get
appreciative of
hotter.
that.
Well, good. Well, I'd love to come and see it. So I'll give a heads up and find
Yeah.
a convenient
Glad to-
time to come and look. Because I saw it before.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see the after.
Very big difference. Very big difference.
Good. Glad to hear. Council, any other questions for David?
Have you done any work with this C&T contractor who is the lowest bidder?
Yes, sir. He's the one that actually did the improvements at our shop.
Oh, okay.
We were very pleased with the work they did. Very easy to work with, very responsive.
How are they meeting their estimate of completion on on your building?
Oh, we are done.
I mean, but when they told you when it was supposed to be done versus when it was actually done, were you pretty
They
close?
came, I don't remember the day we actually finished, but they were well under that time frame.
Okay,
Good.
that's great.
So,
Wonderful. Thanks. Thanks, David. Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Under promise and over deliver.
Yeah. So council, any discussion about town hall complex upgrades, which includes this building, the police department building, and the town hall building?
You didn't.
Okay, do we have a motion to award the town hall complex upgrades project?
I move that we approve budget amendment number 34 to cover the town hall, police department upgrades.
Second.
Okay, so do you need two motions, Sheila, or just one? Just the budget amendment
Budget amendment and award the contract.
and
Award contract.
award the contract?
Yeah.
So,
I'd love a second.
Another motion?
okay, so let's, we'll do it backwards. So we're going to, we have a motion to approve the budget amendment number 34, and we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And now, we need a motion to approve awarding the contract to C&T Contracting.
So moved.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve the contract of C&T.
I'll second it.
very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Very good. Thanks. Thanks, council. Now something that doesn't require a budget amendment. Approval of something called a traffic map. Cliff,
Yes,
you were going
ma'am.
to educate us on what this is all about.
Yes, ma'am. A couple of years ago, we piggybacked with some of the other towns and we were able to get a GIS consultant on call. And West took advantage of that opportunity to get the official traffic map updated. You'll see in your packet, we show you that the last time this was done, it was many councils ago. And so we contracted with the GIS consultant, for a cost of about $3,500 to get this map actually on a GIS. And the official traffic map is kind of thought of as the town code of traffic enforcement. So the official map includes speed limits, stop signs, all things that the police department would enforce ordinances on. And so actually in general statutes, this is kind of where we get the enabling authority, 160A-77 Code of Ordinances. The council may provide that one or more of the following classes of ordinances shall be codified by appropriate entries upon official map books. And one of those is designating the location of traffic control devices. And that includes speed limits and everything as I just mentioned. In our town code, the official map is referenced a couple of times. It's referenced in the installation of unauthorized removal of theft. The traffic control devices of the town shall be placed, erected, installed, changed, or removed only in accordance with the code and entered upon the official town traffic map. And again, whenever the town manager approves a traffic control measure or the council approves a measure, that they have to be included on the official traffic map. And so this map it's in the police department. Sheila has a copy of it in her office. If the police department writes someone a ticket for running a stop sign and that stop sign's not on the traffic control map, that could be an issue for us. So we just want to make sure that everything is in sync. Police department's got what they need, and we're in the right line here.
Very good. Thanks. Any questions for Cliff? And so we need a motion to approve the town's official traffic map.
I move that we approve the official traffic map for Southern Shores.
Second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Sounds like we're dotting our i's and crossing our t's appropriately, which is good. Occasionally, you just need to do that. Now the long-awaited speed bump / hump presentation by Chief Cole.
Sitting room only.
Yes,
Standing room.
sitting.
Thank you. And I appreciate West kind of spearheading the traffic map. The ones we have are sold, but they're so faded that we have no idea where stop signs or any of that stuff are. So thank you.
That's good.
Okay.
Traffic calming.
Any key to move forward?
On the arrows, I'm sorry. Right there.
Gotcha.
That's Southern Shores right there.
It is. On a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay, I tried to do as much research as I could. To be honest with you, I thought it was going to be an uphill battle because I'm not a big fan of speed bumps, but it was actually pretty easy because the majority of the data that I found definitely discourages speed bumps. So I just want to go through some of the information that I did find. Speed bumps and speed humps, there is a difference, and we'll get into that as we go a little bit further here. But some of the basic information regarding the speed bumps and speed humps is there's all types. There's metal, aluminum, rubber, poly. They've actually concrete or made from cement. Come in different sizes. The standard range is 4 feet to 24 feet width-wise. Now with the speed humps, speed hump is much longer. It's a lot longer. It's more of a subtle, but it takes up a lot more territory and a lot more real estate as well. And securing methods, they glue them, they can screw them, lag bolt them, those types of things. Some of them permanent, but they have to be secured. And the cost can be anywhere up. I mean, if you buy the little cheapy things on Amazon, up to $2,500 plus installation. And then one of the things that I had found is that the maintenance is very costly on speed bumps. In just a nutshell, speed humps, they're a popular traffic calming technique. Obviously, they're used to slow the vehicles down. They're also known as speed bumps, and all it is the raised reflective bar that's put across the street. And the hump is a little bit lower, whereas the bump is a more protruding. That's a little bit higher. They're usually a range, I think it's anywhere from 3 to 4 inches. They're typically placed at 1 mile intervals. Heights are between 3 and 4 inches, so that it's low enough to cause minimal disruption to drivers, but it'll also slow them down, which is their main objective. And they are highly recommended to be bright yellow or some type of reflective markings in order for them to be able to be seen at night as well. The speed humps are an option for roads with moderate volumes of traffic. And they sometimes offer a simple and effective way to reduce the average speed. If they're placed too close together or too close to the corners, they can cause a sudden drop in the speed, which will cause drivers to lose control of the vehicles. Additionally, speed humps can also make roads noisier, so they should be used with some caution. And when considering the use of speed humps or bumps, it's important to consider all the potentials, what the implications can be. Humps should be properly evaluated for their effectiveness in slowing down and improving traffic safety. They should be carefully maintained and in order to keep them functioning properly. I know you can't see that, but there's a lot of sections there where it pretty much says these are the reasons that we don't feel that they're appropriate. On my slideshow presentation, I was able to zoom in on that. Can we do that here or not? Yeah, I don't want to screw it up. But as you can read, that has quite a few different facts related to traffic calming devices. And the pros and cons of speed bumps and speed humps. Obviously, they reduce speed. Some residents usually report that they're satisfied once they put them up. Now, some of the cons: slow response times of emergency vehicles. The average response times are slowed by about 3 to 5 seconds for each hump. And then if you given the onboard, and this actually came out of 2 studies out of Miami, Florida was one of them, through the fire departments down there. Given the onboard water and vehicle weight of their fire trucks, each speeding calming speed calming hump costs the fire engine in response time about 10 seconds. A community to a wide range of ages, rapid access for our youngest to our oldest in the community. You know, when someone's having a heart attack or having a stroke, 10 seconds is a lot for an emergency vehicle to be held back. Another pro is they may reduce some complaints. The con is it'll tend to increase between speeds, the humps, for making up lost time, and that's a fact that once they cross over that hump, they floor it until they come to the next hump, and then they floor it again. Because mentally, especially these people, they're on vacation mode, and they got 4 kids in the back seat, you know, yelling and screaming, so they're going to make up that time after that speed hump. Another con is it diverts traffic to the other streets. You're just moving the problem. And they also pose serious injuries, hazards, injuries, and they have been some fatal motor vehicle accidents regarding motorcycles, bicyclists, scooters, and actually even school buses have traversed over them, believe it or not, and the kids weren't paying attention. They're standing up in the buses, and they've actually had injuries in some of the bigger cities. Another con is they can cause damage to vehicles, performance in commercial vehicles, performance being your low-riding Corvettes and those types of vehicles, as well as damage to brakes, suspension, and shocks, etc. The pro is they're fairly decent, moderately cost initially, but the upkeep tends to increase. One of the cons, speed humps are a negative effect on the environment. There are studies that have shown that they've actually increased pollution as the vehicles slow to go over the bump and then accelerate as they go away, and they increase the air pollution. Drivers try to avoid driving over the humps. I've done this myself over the Food Lion where you try to go around them. But unfortunately here what happens is a lot of people to try and avoid it will go into personal property or the town's right away to try and avoid going over the hump. And then we know what that happens, and people get out of their cars and start becoming physical altercations with property owners. They're easy to install, that's the pro. Speed humps increase noise levels where they are implemented due to the engine and the brake noise, people slowing down, speeding up from the trucks and the buses. Additional excessive noise from utility trailers that are being towed by the other trucks, that'll make even more noise going over these humps. This is just a little bit of information. It was from the Federal Highway Administration. And I found it kind of interesting that they won't even commit to defining or giving any kind of a, yeah, this is what you need to do a speed hump. All they pretty much say is, well, if you're going to put them in, you probably ought to put a sign here kind of a thing. So they're not even committed to this on residential streets. So a lot of this covers that. And that's also through the Institute of Traffic Engineering. These are just some of the things that they feel that you should consider if you do decide to put them in your community. This is just a little bit more of that. Obviously, emergency routes and those types of things. In our community, just about every street's an emergency route. If the street does not have curbing, as obstructions such as signs, flexible delineators, bollards, and those types of things, again, they found that people will try to drive around them and those types of things too. That is a speed hump, a little bit different than a bump. And the MUTCD, they do not have anything to define. All they're going to tell you is that because they consider them a physical feature of the roadway rather than a traffic control device. So that's their way of CYA for them. So all they're going to do is tell you that where to place the signage for them, the warning signs. They don't address anything regarding height, width, length, or spacing of the humps or the bumps. So I don't think they're a fan. Questions?
This is not a question, this is an observation up where my daughter lives in Norfolk. You go, if you're all familiar with that area from Granby on Willowwood over to Tidewater. And it's a residential district and there's 2 schools, a library, and a sports complex, but it goes through the residents first. So speed limit was 25. Well, nobody was doing 25. So they put that speed bump in, I guess it'd be called. Because now if you, it did bring the speed limit down. And what we all do, just like you said, because there is curbing there.
Right.
You go over close enough that one wheel of your vehicle is kind of in the drainage area and the other's on there. But I'll say this, it's been there for a year now. But it did slow traffic down and they've got them spaced maybe a half mile apart. But that's one observation I've seen of them. And I guess, I know they work from one point, but I haven't heard any of the other fallouts of time, because with schools and all that, buses are going across it too.
Yeah,
So I don't know the answer. I'm just an observation.
yeah. They're great in schools, parking lots, plazas, shopping centers, and those types of things. The first thing I'm going to tell you is the data we have doesn't justify them, in my opinion, based on people's perception of vehicle speeding is a lot different than what the vehicle that's actually going.
Well, if you remember, we attempted a speed bump.
I'm going to talk about that.
Okay.
Right.
And that sucker
Yeah.
grew feet and walked out of there.
Another town manager was really pressured big time to put a speed bump up. He didn't want to do it. I definitely didn't want to do it, but it was put up, and it was on East Dogwood at Hickory, and it was only a couple of days later. I think I might have been the first one on scene of an injury accident where an older gentleman was biking, and thank God he had his helmet on. Even with his helmet on, he split his head wide open, and I think the town paid for most of those medical bills. if I'm
Well,
not
that's
mistaken.
I was part of that at the time, and the pressure came from, we had a resident down there that was just adamant about it. So we went ahead and did it, but that was one. But the thing is, our local resident or two that we knew about was tearing it out.
Yeah.
As you remember correctly, I'd only stayed there like 3 weeks. We were going to try 2 months and it didn't even make 3 weeks, I don't think.
Look, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that cars don't speed, but I'm going to stand here and tell you that they don't speed like people think they do.
Yeah, well,
The same people who are complaining about the speeds are the same ones that will call the next weekend and go, what are you going to do? I can't even get out of my driveway. The cars are bumper to bumper. Well, they're either bumper to bumper or they're speeding. They can't do both.
Yeah.
So a lot of people's perception of speed is a lot different than reality. I just don't think the speed bumps are the answer for that, to be honest
in
with you.
this incident we just talked about, that was supposed to cause them to stop at the stop sign is what that was for. It wasn't for speed.
Yeah.
So Chief, we had residents show up, I can't remember which meeting it was a couple of meetings ago, from both Wax Myrtle and Sea Oats. And it was related to, I think, people using both of those streets to get to parts north, primarily on changeout day or days. So if we, and I believe a person who lives on Wax Myrtle, I think, spoke pretty passionately about concern for pets, children, people walking, et cetera, et cetera. So if we weren't to if we were to decide that speed humps were not the proper something to try, what would you recommend to council to try to address those residents' concerns about those particular two streets, Sea Oats and Wax Myrtle?
Well, one of the things, and I'm going to have Sheila put a thing in the next newsletter. I'm getting lots of complaints. I see it when I'm out there riding. A lot of people don't even know what side of the road to walk on anymore.
Yes.
Literally.
I'll agree with
They're
that.
walking,
I'll agree with
you
that
know,
too.
let alone with the bikes. I'm going to tell you, my suggestion is, I've been here 15, 16 years. On a Saturday and Sunday changeover, don't be riding your bike in the road, and don't be walking with your kids in the road on a Friday and Saturday during the summer. In New York State, where I came from, you had to yield the right of way to pedestrians. It's not that way in North Carolina. The pedestrian is supposed to, when able, to yield the right of way to the oncoming vehicles that are coming. But when we can't even get people to walk on the right side of the road, they don't even know the vehicle's coming, until it's too late. I would side on the side of caution. I think a lot of the frustration is not necessarily the speeding. They use that because that's the, oh, I got you attention word. But I think the biggest complaint is the volume of traffic. And I get it. I mean, it's a lot. But I also knew that when I moved to the beach that, there were going to be a lot of people coming here. I would just recommend that, if they're going to walk in the road, that they need to yield the right of way to the vehicles. And I wouldn't be out riding my bike on
So,
the streets
yeah, I hear
like
you.
that.
I mean, ultimately, I think the solution is get pedestrians out of the street by adding walking paths, which
Yeah.
is, a priority of the town and this council for sure. But, that takes a while, kind of like the Mid-Currituck Bridge. So to slow vehicles down, if we don't do speed humps, what's our next best choice?
Well, what I can tell you is, is the enforcement, but we don't have enough manpower.
Right.
The data I have shows there's not a speeding issue. I'm sorry. The average speed for the last, starting Memorial Weekend, the average speed on Hillcrest during Memorial Weekend was 21 miles an hour. Even the 85 percentile was 25. So 85% of the vehicles were doing the speed limit. Are there cars that will speed in? Absolutely. On Sea Oats, the average speed was 12 miles an hour. It's because it's bumper to bumper. So speeding's not the issue. And then it was 18 miles an hour was the 85th percentile. So 85% of those vehicles were doing 18 miles an hour. And then Wax Myrtle in the 200 block, the average was 19, and the 85% were traveling 25 miles an hour. And that was a pretty busy weekend too, if you recall, traffic-wise.
Yes.
So a lot of the data, I'm not saying the cars aren't speeding, but I can tell you the majority of the vehicles are not speeding.
Do you think the flashing speed limit signs that we have, do you think those slow vehicles down at all? Is it your
Yeah, I think-
perception that they do?
I think they initially do,
Okay.
but I'm not sure for how long. It's like anything else. You put a new sign up and they'll obey it for a while, but then it just becomes part of the scenery.
Right.
They just drive on by it. Yeah. I wish I had a better answer for you, Mayor, but I don't think speed bumps are the way to go. I just really don't. I don't think they're safe. You have a motorcycle hit one of those at night or something like that. People on the bikes, we had a lot of people that bicycle and those types of things. I just don't think that's the answer for the few violators that we may have, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I can tell you that 2022, and I know you already all have a copy of that, but we wrote, not we, the officers, 129 stop sign violations just on South Dogwood. A total of 170. And that included, several of the different streets within the town. And then the speeding, officers, they handed out 27 speeding tickets just on South Dogwood. 105 of those were on NC 12. That's where our speeding problems usually are, and most of our accidents are. So there was a total of 209 written citations just for speeding. So the officers are out there trying, with the limited resources we have. And all I would ask people to do is just, know the rules of the road. Same for the bikers. I know they're professionals and they don't have to stop for stop signs, but yeah, you do. And just know what side of the road to walk on, and just use a little bit of common sense on change. On 4th of July weekend, you'd be foolish. It's just going to be a zoo out here, and we all know that.
Right.
You work around those types of things.
Chief, what about the traffic cams? Is that a way to add a resource? The little cameras that take a picture of your tail light, your license plate?
License plate reader. That you.
What's the question though?
Are they effective at regulating speeding?
They don't really. The LPRs that we have, they've solved a lot of crimes for us, believe it or not, but they do not. They count vehicles, but they don't pick up speeds or anything like that.
There are cameras that do pick up speed, aren't there?
Yes. Ka-ching.
Yeah, I know it's
Pretty
ka-ching.
expensive.
And some states, though, they've actually been banned.
Yes. That's
Because
always
the problem
question.
is you're sending me the ticket.
Yeah.
And it was my brother driving the car, kind of a
Right.
thing. So
Right.
some states, if you can't identify the driver, it's pretty hard to give them a ticket for something like that.
Just kind of a related question. Have you seen any reduction in tension in town with the barricades being gone? Or any change in the traffic patterns or any effect there?
Yes. Officers are, yeah, it's a lot better. It doesn't seem to be as contentious. I know we've had a few interactions with it at Sea Oats and Hillcrest, a couple of intersection stuff. But overall, yeah, we've seen much better attitude with the people that we do have to deal with. The officers say that, most of the time that they've been working the traffic, you'll get a few yahoos. And to be honest with you, most of those are locals.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we've seen a positive reaction from not having the barricades. We've had a couple complain about it, but you're going to have people complain about stuff anyway all the time. But yeah, we appreciate not having to worry about them and deal with those.
Thanks.
Just one more for anyone who's listening, recap on when you refer to limited resources of your staff right now. Can you just very briefly tell us exactly where you stand?
Yeah, we're still down 3. We're down 4 because one just had a baby. So we'll be down 4 until 2 more months. So we're hoping and we're thankful for the town council and the town manager for what you've helped us with as far as the budget and incentives for law enforcement. So we're working on, we're going to be putting out real quick a new ad that will hopefully encourage some of the some officers or people to apply. Our biggest problem right now is nobody can afford to live here.
Housing.
That's what's killing us right now, to be honest with you. It's not just us, it's everybody.
Everyone.
And just about everybody on the beach except maybe, I don't know. I think all of us are down at least 1 or 2, but we're down 4 for right now.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Council, any other questions for Chief Cole?
Well, this is just a question, suggestion. The data you just gave us, is there some way that could be disseminated to the residents so they know about what we're doing on it, what they have, what's happening?
About
Yeah.
what?
The speeds. you know, you just gave us the data on what the speeds were. Well, you know, everybody thinks it's higher than that. Is there any way we could possibly disseminate that to the residents
I
or?
mean, we can put the data out, and I'll correct you and say that not everybody. There's just a few squeaky wheels that are going to complain about that.
Yeah,
I truly do
understand.
not believe that the majority of the people in this town think that, you know, people are just doing 55,
Yeah.
60 miles an hour. Because that's the complaints I'm hearing is people seem to think
Oh,
they're
yeah.
doing 50 miles an hour on Wax Myrtle. That might be an off-duty fireman going to a fire call or
Yeah.
something, but.
I was just wondering, you know, sometimes the residents that aren't complaining can maybe help.
Sure. Yeah, we can put the data out there. I mean, the data is
That's
what
a
it is.
suggestion you can,
Sure.
I just like to eliminate some discussion.
Yeah. We'll put it in a format that they can understand.
Yeah.
We'll
Sounds
get
good.
it to Cliff's approval and give it to Sheila. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank
you,
you.
Chief. Appreciate
you.
it. Council, do you want to take any action on this issue now, or do you want to table it, or what is your preference?
I'll speak up. I'm not in favor of speed bumps. I think we need to continue doing what we're doing. I was out Saturday from 3 to 5 on my bike on the wrong side of the road. And,
You should have been
just looking
ticketed.
at, I should have been ticketed, yeah. I did talk to the officer who was sitting at East Dogwood and South Dogwood for 20 minutes, and he said people were being respectful. And I gotta tell you, it was backed up on Sea Oats, it was backed up on, you know, they turned left at Hickory right there.
Mm-hmm.
But there was so much traffic, nobody could go very fast. Okay, but there was nobody on Wax Myrtle. And actually, the traffic on 12 at 4:30 was clear in front of your house, Paula.
It was.
But it was started backing up past Chickahawk.
It did.
You know,
Yes,
and going around the corner, the curve.
yeah,
and all
there's
that.
Duck.
And I would say I've noticed a lessening of tension. That was a great question, Paul. I think that people, you know, are resigned to that. I mean, I don't, you know, hopefully I have common sense on the part of our citizens. I like the idea of publishing this in the Southern Shores News, Leo. I think that's important to get that stuff out there. It's not that we're not looking at it, but there's no, until they build the bridge, our alternatives are pretty slim.
Yeah.
Speed bumps is not, I'm not in favor of speed bumps. I just think they'll create more problems, and the people on bikes and walking even will trip over these things. It's just gonna happen. I did have this isn't related to speed bumps, so I just have something else when you do something else.
Okay.
Suggestion, for safety.
And I don't know what's happening, but I follow, you know, Waze on Saturday afternoon. And for some reason, I'm not seeing the backup posted on that app. On Sea Oats, Wax Myrtle, any of it. And there's just a little corner up there of Sea Oats, but 12 has got all the traffic, but they're not showing any on their map internally in the town. So I don't know what they've done differently. but-
They've done what we asked them to do.
Yeah.
That means they've done what
Well,
what we've
yeah.
asked them to do, which essentially, their app is not going to recommend drivers take those shortcuts through our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean drivers aren't going to take shortcuts
Well-
through our neighborhoods. It just means that Waze is not going to show that that is
Well, yeah,
happening.
if you've been here before,
Yeah,
you know how
it's
to
out
move
there.
around.
Yeah.
That's how that's going to work.
I
But
guess,
But I just saw it, I just
yeah.
find it in.
I guess on the subject of speed limits, I was thinking that it would be something to at least worth trying for this, basically the weekend traffic. The only problem is, you know, implementing it and then the safety issues, which Chief has done a great job of presenting. So I'm less convinced that it's something worth trying. I really was convinced after hearing folks that showed up. So perhaps, I don't know, seeking homeowner input from people who live on the southern part of Wax Myrtle and the southern part of Sea Oats. I don't know. I'm torn.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm going to say I'm not leaning towards doing anything until maybe we can revisit it later.
Right, and I think even though we've had a few people who are in favor, at least of trying speed bumps, as I've talked to other residents, they're very much against it being on their street.
Yeah.
So I think that unless we've got some, you know, real pressure from citizens to put speed bumps up. I'm for just walking away from this time.
I think we have consensus then. We're
Yeah.
gonna table it
Yeah.
for now, and we may revisit it in the future. Council comments. Mark, I think you already said you had something for us.
Well, I've had a couple comments from several residents in town that, this was a nice comment, I think. When people are on vacation, they seem to leave their common sense on the other side of the bridge.
Chicken, you see the
And
box of chicken.
to make a long story short, they've observed visitors stepping out into the crosswalks without traffic stopping on 12. And I know you've seen this, I'm sure our officers have seen this, I mean, and they just think automatically these people are gonna stop. And what they said to me was, and I guess we owe it to our visitors, we do owe it to them for safety, is maybe if we had a sign, like if you're visiting England or one of the left-handed countries that's out there, it says, look right, look left. Maybe we ought to have a sign at our crosswalks, and I don't even know how many crosswalks we have
Too many.
on 12, too many, but enough to be dangerous. It says, look first before stepping out. I mean, I've observed myself, some people think that crosswalk says they're gonna go out. It's just a safety issue that I don't know whether we should be doing anything about it, but it's a suggestion. I don't know, those little signs, you can buy them like that, we can put them up. It's a simple thing, I don't know what it costs, but it's just a safety thing, you know, and you guys observe the visitors that are here. The kids are running in front of mom and dad. They're not paying attention. Mom and dad are yelling, stop. They're not stopping. The kids don't stop. And so, anyway, just a suggestion. That's my comment.
That issue though is not only prevalent here.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
Come up the beach road on
Beach
12
roads,
and
yeah.
man, if you, I've gotten where at a crosswalk, I make sure I see if there's anybody around because they don't even bother to look. They just right in
They
front of
step out
you.
behind the dunes and Kitty Hawk.
Yeah,
Can't
and you
even see
can't see it.
Yeah,
Yep.
so on the beach road. So it's just a
That's not-
suggestion to make, you know, we have lights on those crosswalks at night, which is
Mhm.
cool. It's just a suggestion for the daytime participants who are using those crosswalks.
Very good. Thanks, Mark.
Okay.
Leo?
No, I don't have anything at this point in time. We did have our tourism board meeting last week, so I'll get the rest of that data together for our meeting in July.
Okay. Paul?
I'm good.
And all I was gonna say is our next regular town council meeting is on an unusual date. It's a week from July
Yeah.
4th. So it'll be on July 11th at 5:30. And that's all I have. And now, council, we have another closed session on our agenda. So we need a motion to go into closed session.
I move that we go into closed session pursuant North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, paragraph A5, paragraph A3, and paragraph A6.
Do we have a second?
And also A5.
Also what?
A5.
Yeah, I said
A5.
A5, A3,
Yeah,
and
I
A6.
got
We
it.
got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're in closed session.